Hello, today I'm going to talk about the game The Air Eaters Strike Back from Metagaming. It's a metagame, which is a little different because they make these micro games with boxes and some don't have boxes. And this one, it's bigger and it's actually very nice. Like the size of it, I like that it's got a little more to it than the smaller games. It's kind of a crossover between a full game and a mini game, I guess. The art definitely a sci-fi theme, so that's good. And this is a sequel to their game Invasion of the Air Eaters, which was a micro game, so a smaller game. A little bit of theme. Can you save the solar system? Centuries passed since the Air Eater invasion of Earth. The terrible devastation is repaired. Man isn't alone, but he does forget. Suddenly, the Air Eater's mothership returns. As man colonizes the solar system and reaches for the stars, death stalks again. We can't understand them. They only want our planets. The bitter struggle for survival, battle to the death, is joined. So it's a competition for two. Can be played solitaire. Actually, there's a solitaire scenario in there. Moderate complexity, playtime 36 hours, which for today's sensibility seems quite a bit long, but I don't think it plays quite that long, but it depends how quick you go, I guess. So there's two rule sets. There's the introductory game, and then the intermediate and advanced, which obviously has more to it. Then dice. And it's got a good mix of counters, 360. And so there's basically the blue, which are the Terran units. There's the invading aliens, and these are various markers, the orange. The unique markers are down here. The Terrans, their markers are various forces, so they have transports, submarine fleets, and then these are improved transports, improved submarine fleets, and these and some other units you can get through technology development. There's fighters, armies, like a cruiser, a balanced infantry, which a top, I guess, a DT, corvette, a destroyer, a battleship, and so some diversity there. The Air Eaters have a quasar ship, which is it's good at bombarding worlds. A crawler, which goes on worlds and moves around. Lander, which brings things down the surface course. So the movement of the units is shown here. Like one, for instance, U is unlimited, 0 stationary. So, and then the other counter units. There's planets, Earth, Venus, Mercury, and on these shows the initial industrial unit production, and these are degraded as the Air Eaters attack. And there's Jupiter, Mars, and then there's some major asteroids, Poli, Vesta Ceres, and in the advanced you can use the Martian moons for ramming into Mars, Phobos and Deimos. These are the atmospheric indices for the planets that are tracked. Io, Earth, which is kind of unique. Io is unique. Earth, Mars, Venus. You can track production, your resource production. Space colonies. Space colonies can produce an IU. Mining bases, the asteroid can produce an IU. Free asteroids, which can move around in some of the advanced scenarios. Trojan asteroids, which move around too. And these mark the degradation of your IU production in the IU sites, and these are for your tracking your inertia. And finally, the map. So the lot going on here, and it's all useful. There's a nice sequence of play, shows you what to do. This is where you track the atmospheric indices of the relevant planets and the production for the Terrans. There's a map of the solar system, and as you'll see, the planets get placed on here, and they move counterclockwise each turn. So you have Mercury, Venus, Earth, out to Jupiter, etc. these are the boxes for the two motherships to show what's in the motherships. And then over here you have planets and asteroids. Of course, Earth, and this is the same a similar representation as what is in Invasion of the Air Eaters here. And these numbers are IU productions, and these will be degraded as the aliens attack. Pretty self-explanatory. In orbit, so there's the moon, and then you get a box for things in orbit in the Earth system. So for the various planets, when you have a dark line, that means some units can't cross there, so it restricts movement. So here's Mars, and then IU units and different ability to move in areas, and then the orbit box. Venus, you have the North Pole, South Pole, and then the orbit box. And obviously the planets are spherical, so if you can leave one side and come on the other, since it's near spheres, for instance. Asteroids, Pollux, Vesta Ceres, and in orbit around them. Ceres has an IU unit. Around Jupiter, they don't show Jupiter, it's just because only the aliens can go there. Main moons, Io, Ganymede, Callisto, Europa. Callisto has some IU unit, an IU unit. And in orbit around Jupiter here. Mercury, some IU units, some restrictions of movement, borders, and in orbit around Mercury. So that's the components. The rules come in two sections. There's the introductory game, and then there's the intermediate and advanced. Start the introductory first. When I do the play, I'll do the intermediate, and that follows pretty similarly, except a bit of difference as far as the counters, but the concept's the same. Sequence of play, very similar between introductory and intermediate. So game turn, each turn consists of several phases, and game turn are tracked with the motion of Jupiter. So first you move, everything on the map moves one space clockwise. So the Terrans move. Each Terran unit on Earth may move an unlimited distance on each planetary map. Each DT or bounce infantry may move one hex on that planetary map per turn. Each transport in a ground hex may load one DT or BI in its hex. Each Terran space unit in a ground may move to the in-orbit box of the planet. Each space unit in an orbit box may land on the planet. Each transport and ground hex may unload. Lastly, each Terran space unit may move a number of solar system units equal to its movement factor. So as Terrans move, and then aliens, first each crawler on a planet may move one hex. Each lander may load one crawler in its hex or an orbit box, move to any other place connected to that orbit box, and unload. Lastly, each mothership, escort, nova ship, quasar ship may move an unlimited distance to another solar system space or an orbit box. Landers may do space movement also if they are accompanying a mothership. So in combat, aliens fire. Each alien unit may fire one Terran unit in its hex space or box. Terrans fire. Each Terran unit may fire in one alien unit in its hex space or box. And then the orbital bombardment. Each nova ship in orbit may fire twice at each Terran units on that planet. Each quasar ship may fire 4 times. Each DD, CA, and BB may now make one more or more attacks on alien units on a planet connected to an in-orbit box. Reinforcements. This is the only thing that really differs between the introductory and the intermediate and advanced games. Terran production and Terran player determines the number of undevastated IUs and allocates them to research and development or production new units. And then right away, after you purchase them, the units are placed on the map. Terran research and development, Terran player rolls the dice. So you allocate 10 IUs for technology, and then you roll a dice. So if you On a roll of 1 or 2, or in some cases 3 if there's a modifier, the RD is successful. And then alien reinforcements. Each mothership in the solar system, B1, C1, D1, E1, may receive an alien reinforcements. And so this is where it differs from the intermediate and advanced, because they don't do alien reinforcements, they do alien production. Combats, and then so combats are done with the combat chart. So you refer to the environment, there's space, land, and underwater, and then you look at the firing unit, compare it to the target unit. For instance, firing unit is an escort, and say it's attacking a fighter. As if your die roll is between 1 to 2 there, the unit is destroyed. And you can either produce new units, which is the cost of production is shown here. Some units require that there's R&D. Alien reinforcements, there's a table of those in different turns and victory conditions of the introductory game. Aliens win if all Terran industrial units are devastated by end of turn 24. Otherwise, the Terrans win. So that's the introductory rule. So here's the intermediate and advanced rules. The sequence is the same as the introductory, except the reinforcements has different subphases, and they're not being like automatic reinforcements. Each turn, the alien player knows which type he's attempting to produce, and determines the environment, rolls, and consults the alien production table. They have a likelihood of getting it, and they do it that way. So you look at the location, the planet or asteroid, etc. You look at the type unit being produced. So then you go to these die rolls, you see where it is. This is where you're trying to produce. You roll a die, and you see if that unit is produced. And then victory conditions for intermediate games. I'll talk about that in the setup. And there's several other interesting scenarios, which is another neat thing about this game. There's so much variation you can do in scenarios. So it talks about the Invasion Air Eater rules, which is the prequel to this. And then you can have multiplayer games where you have 2 Terran players, 2 alien players where they're both trying to get controlling the solar system. And there's a nice solitaire scenario that's actually good, but it doesn't have all the intermediate rules in it, so it doesn't get all the effect of that, but it's really nice to have a solitaire scenario. So I'm going to do the intermediate game. I'll show setup. First of all, it's Terran setup. The Terran player sets up as the introductory game. 1 Corvette orbiting Mercury, 3 Corvettes orbiting Earth, and then on Earth, 2 armies, 4 DTs, and 2 submarine fleets, 3 CRVs orbiting Mars, 2 DTs and 1 transport on Mars, 1 CRV orbiting Jupiter, space colony in orbit around Earth. So for on Earth, I just kind of distributed kind of evenly. Similar on Mars, I just kind of did it kind of evenly. And then the alien selection of forces, the alien player gets 2 other ships, 2 bases, and 14 other units. Can't get a quasar ship yet. It may take no more than 2 Nova ships. Each Nova ship costs as 3 of the 14 units. So I chose the motherships put here, and then I got 3 landers, and they're tagging along with the motherships here, 2 there, and 1 here. And then escorts, I just kind of put them distributed around the bottom here. So 5 escorts, a Nova ship here, and then the 2 bases, 1 on each mothership, and then 3 crawlers, 1 on this mothership, and then 2 on this mothership. I mean, you select force and then you place them. And then the setup, so Jupiter and Mercury are always start in those locations. But for the other planets, you roll on the table shown here that gives you the location. For instance, Venus, 1 would be C1. You roll the dice on that chart for Venus, Earth, Mars, the main asteroids, Pali, Vesta, Ceres, the 4 asteroid mining bases, and then Jupiter always starts at L48, and then the Trojan asteroids automatically start on L40 and L8. If there's more than one base, you just have one face up on the mothership and it's activated, but I only have one in each. So as far as the atmospheric indices, so it shows where to start them here. Earth is on 20, Io is on 40, Mars is on 25, Terrans, and then so for Terran production it starts at 58. We don't do Venus for the intermediate. And that's the setup for victory conditions for the intermediate scenario. So if no alien units are on or in orbit around Earth or Luna, and no planets are coverted, or I think they mean converted, at the end of turn 12, when Jupiter is in L12, the Terran player wins a decisive victory. If no Terran unit is anything in any star system space or an orbit box, and the Terrans have fewer than 25 undevastated industrial units, then turn 12, the aliens win a decisive victory. If neither player wins on turn 12, the game continues until the end of turn 24. Victory is determined at the time. Alien decisive, Earth is converted, all Terran units eliminated, and all industrial units are devastated, destroyed. Alien substantial, Earth is converted. Alien marginal, 45 or more RUs are devastated. Terran marginal, an alien victory is prevented. Terran substantial, 45 AUs are undevastated at the end of the game. Terran decisive, an alien victory is prevented, and also the aliens have no Nova ships or Quasar ships at the end of the game. Then we'll get into play. So we're in an early turn here, and just to give a sense of how it goes, I'll go through turn. So the current situation is, so there was a combat, sent some escorts, some mothership and landed to Mercury, and a couple escorts defeated Mercury, the Corvette and Mercury in combat. The Nova ship went to Ceres and was able to orbitally bombard to reduce 1 IU from Ceres. That's the main conflicts. And so the approach I'm using first, the aliens are going to be, I guess I'm talking like I'm the alien, but the alien will be attacking kind of the periphery worlds before they dive deep into Mars and Earth. Maybe I'll get to Mars a little bit this turn. As far as production, the Terrans bought another Corvette. They bought another DT on Mars, and they bought another army for Earth. So right now the bases are located on the motherships. They were able to produce a crawler, basically. So that's where we're at. So then to start this turn, it does show the turn sequence on the board here. So first of all, you move everything clockwise on the map, including Jupiter. Okay. Showing motion about the solar system there. I'm curious how accurate that is. Terrans move. So the units on Earth can move an unlimited distance, and on every other planet, they call asteroids planets, they can move 1 hex. So they'll kind of stay tight here on Earth. They'll kind of keep things where they're at. I guess on Mars will kind of move to stay over the kind of resources there. Corvettes will stay around Jupiter. Corvettes will stay as they are around Mars. So I guess we'll keep it like that. Kind of defend kind of what hasn't been disturbed yet. Aliens move. First you move any crawlers there down. There's no crawlers there down yet. So, and then you can move landers. So I'm going to move a couple landers. I'll move 1 lander down to, this is on the mothership, down to the surface of Mercury, and I'll put the crawlers on that, and I'll put the crawler on top to indicate it's disembarked from the lander. So it can move next time, and the idea being that it'll attack that IU and destroy it. So that's what's going on there. So that's the things that are in orbit. So things that are outside of orbit. So I think so the alien units are different than the Terran ones in that if Terrans go across, they have to indicate inertia, and I guess I should have shown that for example. So this one went from Earth, which I'm not doing, but if the Corvette went from Earth and moved away from the center, you would get you would have one inertia, which would stay on there for next time, and it would affect its movement. It says gathering inertia, but that only affects if it goes outward or inward directly to the sun, but not if it goes radially. But that doesn't affect the aliens, since they have higher technology, I guess. They can just move unlimited without the inertia effect, is my understanding. I'm going to have these escorts go into orbit around Mars. Something in a confrontation coming up there. A couple escorts here on Mercury that left orbit. I'm going to send them in orbit around Jupiter. And then I have a mothership with a lander and Nova ship around that had left orbit around Ceres. I'll send the Nova ship around Jupiter. The idea being that it can potentially orbitally bombard some of those resources. And then as far as the mothership, so the mothership has a base on it, and there's an advantage. So to get resources, I mean, you can have the base on deployment planets if they're undeveloped, but I have a developed base. So if it's on the mothership, depending on what planet you're in orbit around, it affects what you can get. So I'm going to think about that a little bit. So I think I want to get some escorts, which apparently need heavy metals to develop. And so the way I interpret this is that if it's around, the way I think it means that these planets have that resource it needs for that. This is my interpretation. It's best if it's around Mars or Earth, but a Trojan asteroid's pretty good too. So I'll go to a Trojan asteroid. So they don't have in-orbit markers for those. I assume you just put them on that. And then aliens fire. So it's not simultaneous. So aliens fire first, destroy things, and then the Terrans, I guess I'd been calling them Earthlings, but Terrans fire back. So let's see what the aliens can do. So obviously we have combats here. The combat results tables are here. It'd be good if they're a little bit bigger, but they're functional. So if it's in space combat, use this one. Land combat here. Underwater combat here. And this is for orbital bombardment. So we'll start up here. Space combat is any solar system space, here. Or in an orbit box, and it's in an orbit box. So I got 2 escorts that are going to be firing at a Corvette. And if there's some remaining, the Nova ship's going to fire as well. 2 for a escort to a Corvette gets destroyed under 1 to 4. Yep. Nope. And then the Nova ship, it's not like 1 to 6, so automatically destroyed. So that was successful there. Sorry, escorts and Corvettes are equally matched, so they both need 1 to 4 to hit each other. So it's good that for the aliens that they're going first. So 1 to 4. Yes. 4. Yes. 4. Okay. So that's the only combat going on. And now the Terrans fire before there's orbital bombardment. So he's firing against an escort, needs 1 to 4. Yes. So they got pretty messed up. Terrans did. Okay, and then we do orbital bombardment. That's this chart here. The only ones that can orbitally bombard are Nova ships, Quasar ships, LDs, CAs, and BBs. I don't have any of these yet. I just have Nova ships. Nova ships can bombard twice per turn. So they're going to go... This one's going to work towards these resources, so he's going to go against Callisto there. To be successful against an IU, you need a 1 to 3. Yes. So he knocks out an IU there. And I'll move down the Terran production to indicate that. That's the only orbital bombardment we're doing. He could have gone twice, but there's only one thing there to get. So then we do Terran production. So we see how many IUs there, and so you don't have to sum them up all the time. You just keep up, knock down what you lose here, keep track of it. So they have 56. They can do research and development, or they can do production. I'll do a research and development. Well, I'll see if I can do a research and development. So there's these preconditions you need, and you would need to spend 10 IUs for it. And I'll see if I meet any of these criteria. Destroyers, no prerequisites, so that's good. Fighters, prerequisites, space combat this turn. Yes, there was. And if you meet the modifiers, you can do that on 1 to 3 versus 1 to 2. And also for the destroyers, it's space combat this turn. Cruisers, prerequisites, successful R&D, previous turn, no. Battleship, prerequisites, successful R&D on previous turn, no. Approved transport, no prerequisites. Their modifier, successful R&D, no. Bounce infantry, prerequisites land combat this turn, no. Involving a DT, no. Project, improved subfleet, underwater combat this turn, no. So I'll go with, I have a couple options. I'll go with a destroyer, since there was space combat this turn. I'll do that on Earth here to see if I'm successful then. Let's see if we met the bonus modifier. Yeah, so there was space combat, so I get so it's not a 1 to 3 versus 1 to 2. Roll dice. Good. So destroyer. And you can kind of keep track in your head, but I'm just going to keep track of how much I'm spent. I'm just going to kind of use this to kind of show. So I've spent 10 now. 46 left to go. So what else I can do, I'll get a submarine fleet. That's another 15. I'll get 2 corvettes, which are 10 each, and 2 DTs, which are 10 each. I'll kind of populate Mars here. And then we do alien production, which is in this chart. We have 2 bases. You only do any bases. They're both on motherships. And first of all, I purposely put the one mothership on the Trojan asteroid here to get a better chance of producing escorts. I just need a 1 to 4 there. Didn't succeed. So that's unfortunate. The other mothership is around Mercury. So let's see what we can do around Mercury. We can develop a base. That sounds pretty good. We do a crawler. We don't have any undeveloped bases, and if you have an undeveloped base, then you can start putting those on worlds to produce other units there. We could also try to do a atmospheric converter. Actually, let's try to do that. We don't have any of those. And if we get an atmospheric converter, then we can put it on a planet, and each turn it reduces the atmospheric index by 1. That would be good, because once we get to 0, it's a converted planet. So I'll try that, but I do need a 1 to do that. Yeah. Okay. So I got an atmospheric converter. Since it's not deployed, it's here, but I'll just flip it over, and then we can deploy that on a planet. So that's nice. And that would be it. So that's an example of gameplay. Hopefully, it gives you a sense of it. So that is Air Eater Strike Back from Metagaming from 1981. Very, very pleased with it. A lot of great things to like about it. I do really like the box. It's actually, if you compare it to These are like SPI capital games, the same size, but it's a box. Get orbital movement mechanics. The advanced games start doing inertias. And what's great about this game too is, unlike other games, you have this space element, you got research and development, you have land combat, space combat, you got strategy, you got tactics. The components actually, I do like the components. They're one-sided, but they have, I think, pleasing graphics to them. The map is functional but simple, but it's got a lot going on. I do like the art of the different planets. Give it an 8 out of 10. Thanks a lot.